So many different times in my life, I've played with broken or hurt things, broken foot, broken leg, broken hand, broken arm, broken sternum, broken collarbone. I could keep going if I just thought more about bones. Why, man? Because I loved it. I loved playing the game. I was passionate about it. One of the reasons I even get encouraged at seeing all of you here. Do you know why I get encouraged by that? Is because you could be anywhere doing a lot of different things, but you chose to be here.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. In a world filled with endless opportunities, why would two men who have built 13 multi-million-dollar businesses altruistically invest 5 hours per day to teach you the best practice business systems and moves that you can use? Because they believe in you. And they have a lot of time on their hands. They started from the bottom, now they're here. It's the Thrivetime show starring the former U.S. Small Business Administration's Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark, and the entrepreneur trapped inside an optometrist's body, Dr. Robert Zuttner. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women. 13 multi-million-dollar businesses.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
Mr. Clyde started from the bottom, and now we're at the top, teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks. I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio. And now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. Now we here.
Well, Tim, thank you for being here, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, I am excited to talk to you today about a topic of really how to go from poverty to prosperity, because you've definitely had an interesting life, we shall say. Mm-hmm. And before we kind of deep dive into this here, I want to make like a chiropractor for a second and give the Thrivers a little bit about your backstory.
Okay.
At one point, you were picked up on a bench warrant, and now you've become a multimillionaire. For the Thrivers out there who might not know, and for people around the planet who aren't aware of what this term means, what is a bench warrant?
Well, like I told you earlier, it's something your wife finds out about when she reads this little deal you sent over to me. It's not something that you want. Okay. It's basically, I've decided not to completely ignore a court order. In my case, it was really a minor, stupid thing. When I first moved to Oklahoma, you didn't have to have insurance on your car.
Okay.
Well, that changed, and I didn't think I needed insurance on my car. And I got stopped on 2 different occasions, and they said, bring your tags up to date and buy your insurance. And I did, but I just didn't pay the fines that went with them. And that was in '82, so I'm coming home from a friend's house early in the morning, with my swimsuit on and a tank top and a pair of flip-flops, and a nice Tulsa policeman gave me a tour of downtown.
Really?
Yeah.
So how long did you get stuck in the old downtown police facility, we'll call it?
Too long.
Too long? Okay.
Most of the day, about 6-7 hours, which was long enough to let me know I didn't want to be back there.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this here. What was your childhood like growing up there?
Well, I actually grew up in West Virginia. I had a typical middle-town, small-town background. Growing up near the mountains in central West Virginia, about 60 miles south of Pittsburgh. I was a middle child.
Okay.
Unfortunately, my mom died of toxic shock one night when I was 11 years old.
Toxic shock?
Toxic shock syndrome. She was one of the first people in the United States to have that happen to her, and it was 10 years later before we could even figure out what happened.
Okay.
After my mom died, I went off to college, and from 77 to 87, or sort of what I refer to as the dark ages.
Yeah.
If you grew up in West Virginia in 1981, it had the highest unemployment in the United States. And my friend in college I lived with, he lived in the county that had the highest unemployment in West Virginia.
Wow.
And there wasn't a lot of positive, thriving businesses to go to.
Yeah.
I graduated college on December 15th, 1981. And on January 3rd, 1982, I drove to Oklahoma with everything I owned in the world.
Really?
In a little Datsun B210.
Ooh.
It had a bullet hole in the side.
Oh, nice.
And because I bought it at an auction, which was sort of a pre-runner that I didn't know anything, that's eventually where I'd end up. It had a piece of plexiglass in the window, and the blower didn't work. And I figured, well, hey, what the heck? I'm going to Oklahoma. I don't need it's not cold down there. I don't need a heater or air conditioner. And so I pulled into Oklahoma with everything I owned in the world in that car.
So that must be kind of like a key to success. Have a bullet hole in your car. Is that sort of a success tip you would give people? Make sure you get the first car has a bullet hole in it?
The key is not getting hit by the bullet.
Okay, all right.
That'd be my key.
Now, so where was kind of like the turning point in your life where you made a decision that you wanted to really begin thriving, if you will, or begin doing something big with your life? When did you have that moment where you said, okay, I've lived this way and now I want to do something bigger?
It's pretty simple. From, like I said, 77 to 87.
Yeah.
82 to 84, I was really dark. After I got out on the bench warrant, I literally came home and there was a notice from the IRS that my taxes from the year before were going to be audited.
Oh boy.
And I opened my bank statement and there was nothing in my bank statement. And I thought, if I can make it through tonight, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. Did you have a good time when you were audited like I did? I've been audited before. Was it a good time for you?
It was an interesting conversation. She asked me if I was a creative writer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So like, let me ask you this. When you're getting audited, you're going through the situation where financially, I mean, you're in a bind. You have no money left in your account. You're being audited by the IRS. You just got back from spending some time in the local jail facility. What were the steps that you took? I mean, could you remember what were the steps that you took kind of to get you out of that? What was the first?
At that point, the steps I took were the steps you don't want to take.
Okay.
I lied.
Oh, really?
I made up stuff just to get out of the situation. And I lived from day to day, check to check, and I lived for one person, and that was me. And I continued to live that way, and it continued to spiral. I got in a position one night where it was hard to drive, so I decided to walk home.
Yeah.
And it was too far to walk, and it took me like a half hour to get across the parking lot, and I saw a payphone next to old Scooter's Delivery Pizza.
Okay.
So I called Scooter's, ordered a pizza and a couple big pops, and when the guy come out, I said, hey, are you going to this address? And he says, yeah. And I said, well, give me a ride home.
That's how you made it home.
That's how I made it home. And I wake up in the morning and my shoes are here, my jacket's here, there's an empty pizza box. I said, man, this has got to end sometime, but it still wasn't time for it to end.
So walk me through. It sounds like you're up here. Maybe you start here in the middle. You're going down. You're almost like a submarine at this point. You are at the bottom of the bottom. You are.
I'm at the bottom. I'm living check to check. I mean, not even that. I learned how to write a check on Tuesday and know it won't clear till Friday. How to rob Peter to pay Paul. It was just, never anything illegal, stealing or anything like that. But hey, I lived for the moment, lived for the party, lived for myself until September 1987.
September 1987. And
a buddy of mine invited a friend of his over to go to a movie, and she brought two friends with her, and one of her friends was this beautiful brunette that I just Oh my. And I had a bottle of whiskey in my hand, and I held it behind my back first time I met her. And I thought, and then after it was all over, I thought, why did I do that? I never tried to hide anything from anybody, because I didn't apologize for anything, because I was living for myself and I didn't really care about anybody else.
Yeah.
So I got her name, and then I dressed up the next day and put my suit and tie on next Monday, went to the bank where she was the teller, asked her to lunch, and we went to lunch every day for a month, 2-3 months, and then right before Christmas, she said that she would marry me if I didn't have to quit drinking, I didn't have to quit playing softball, I didn't have to quit doing anything I was doing. The only thing I had to do was go to church with her on Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night.
So when did you have to go again now?
Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. And I looked at her, I looked at me in the mirror. At the time, I weighed like 225 pounds.
Wow.
And I always had this saying that if you show me a salesman with an ugly wife, I'll show you somebody who shouldn't be in sales.
Oh.
I'm going to go ahead and close this deal.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah.
Okay.
And we ended up getting married in April of the next year. And I kept up at my end of the bargain, and 3 or 4 months later, I got convicted to give my life to God. But the amazing thing that led to that part of it was the day OU was playing Miami in the Orange Bowl in '87 when we lost 20-14.
So Oklahoma University's playing Miami at that point?
Yeah,
Okay.
and Marie this is after we were engaged.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there doing shots of tequila at the game. I'm thinking, yeah.
So you're married?
No, we're not married yet. We got married in April, but I just backed up a minute.
Okay, sorry.
To tell you this part. We're sitting there doing the shot. I'm doing the shots. Marie, she doesn't do them. And OU gets ready to lose the game, and we're walking out, and I got about a half a bottle of tequila left. And we're walking to my apartment, and I look at her, and I look at that bottle, and it was like the Holy Spirit just come over me. He says, "I don't need you anymore." And I just chunked it in the dumpster. It's like a live spirit just came to me and said, you don't need this.
Well, let me do this, because you jumped back, and I think for a lot of people watching this, I'm thinking of a guy watching this in Ukraine or a guy watching this from all over the planet, and they're going, what are you talking about? So I'm gonna take just a second and kind of ask you a couple things. What career did you ultimately end up earning your millions in? What kind of business?
Auto auctions.
Auto auctions. So you went from the bottom of the bottom to success in the auto auction business. Now, Tony Robbins, he's a self-help author, he says this. He says that one reason that so few of us achieve what we truly want is that we never direct our focus. We never concentrate our power. Most people dabble their way through life, never deciding to master anything in particular. It sounds to me though like you focused on your relationship with what you're saying is God. And you used the word Holy Spirit a minute ago. What are you talking about when you say Holy Spirit? What does that mean?
The Holy Spirit is God.
Okay.
It's part of the trilogy of God, Father, and God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
Without Him, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bottom line. And until you get your point in your life where there's no possible way you can succeed, He can't help you, because then you'll think you've done it on yourself.
So how have you maintained focused on this new relationship and this new way of living? You're saying a relationship with God or a new way of living. How did you stay focused on that decision? And how did you stay clean there, my friend? There's probably people watching this who are going through some substance abuse issues and a lot of things. It sounds like, were you an alcoholic, I guess? Were you an alcoholic?
Not diagnosed, probably a self-diagnosed alcoholic. I have a very addictive personality.
Okay.
If I drink hard. If I play hard. If I work hard.
Okay.
I get a really myopic focus on things. And 1 week I may be the world's greatest motorcycle rider.
Yeah.
And next week, I'm thinking about different way to sell a car on the internet.
Yeah.
But whatever that is, that's my main focus.
So you've been able to, for anybody watching this who's maybe going through alcoholism or some sort of issue, you started there. I mean, you've started there. You started at the bottom. You started with this whole series of issues, it sounds like. Now, as you began to start a business, what was the first step? How did you start the business?
We started our business because we didn't want to work for somebody else.
Okay.
Was the whole reason. We didn't start it to make millions of dollars. I was selling office furniture. My wife was a bank teller at First Tulsa.
Okay.
The neighbor across our house, at a house that we bought, every time we saw him, he was driving this old beat-up wrecker.
Yeah.
And he with a car on the back, and he was smiling from ear to ear.
Just for clarification, you're saying a wrecker like a tow truck?
Like a tow truck, like a
Okay.
flatbed tow truck.
So he's driving around town just smiling as happy as can
driving
be.
it at home into his driveway.
Okay, yeah.
But every time I see him, he's just smiling from ear to ear. I asked him one day what he did.
Yeah.
And he told me what he did.
What does he do?
What did he do? He was a broker for insurance companies.
Okay.
Our auctions ended up being called insurance pools.
Insurance pools.
Because up to the point that the pools came to existence, whenever there was a wreck with an insurance company involved, and the car was totaled, they have bet you that you're not going to wreck the car, and you're saying, yes, I am.
Yeah.
And so they say it's a total loss. They needed a place to hold that car while they do their investigation, file the correct paperwork, and usually ending up, once the car reached a certain threshold, buying the car from the individual.
Okay.
Well, before the pools came along, that meant each individual adjuster had to take care of selling that piece.
Okay, so the insurance adjuster had to take care of selling the car that's been in an accident.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was productivity time that he's not settling claims, which
Okay.
he was hired for. And relationships would form between certain adjusters and certain buyers.
For the folks at home who aren't aware of what an insurance adjuster is, can you explain what that is?
If you have an accident,
Yeah.
he's the person that will come out and look at your car and say, with the paper and pad in the hand, and say, hey, this is how much this is going to cost, this is how much this is going to cost.
Yeah.
And we'll be glad to fix it for you. Or we can just write you a check and get a new car.
So when you saw this relationship and this whole thing about people totaling their cars and getting in touch with these adjusters and this whole thing, where did you start to see a business idea? Where did you start to see a problem that you could solve? Where did that happen?
Well, what I saw was what Gerald had started. He had started the base work for this pool. He went to State Farm, farmers, and he said, instead of having each individual adjuster take the car to their friend to sell, bring them all to one place, hold them here, and we'll create a competitive atmosphere in an auction format where all people have to come in and get you more for this car, and get more for this car. It will reduce the amount it costs you to settle this claim.
So people are going to come to an auction and bid on totaled cars? Mm-hmm. Why would someone want to buy a totaled car?
At one time you could buy them for 25 cents on the dollar.
Okay.
And for another 25 cents on the dollar, you could have it fixed, repaired, put back on the road, so you would get a nice car. I mean, if you know who put it together.
Yeah.
There's buyers that will buy them and disassemble them and sell the parts.
Okay.
At like an automobile recycling facility. We shipped approximately, at the end, when I got out, 25% of our cars. They were all over the world, South America, Central America,
Really?
United Arab Republic, yeah.
So, okay, so you see this problem, and you pitch this idea of a carpool. Mm-hmm. And how did you get the money to start?
Pitching the idea was there, but we thought that it could be refined.
Okay.
And I'm probably not your typical entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And because I'm not an expert in anything.
Okay.
I mean, I knew absolutely nothing about cars.
Yeah.
My wife knew nothing about cars.
Okay.
But when I told my friends what we did and we bought the auction, I said, well, we bought the auction from my neighbor. He carried, owner carry part of it.
Can you define what owner carried means?
That means that I give him an X amount. He has a value for his company.
Yeah.
He would take a certain percentage of that down.
Yeah.
And then he would loan me the rest over a 3-year, 5-year period. Very, very good way to buy a company.
I want to put it up on the board here real
Yeah,
quick,
yeah.
kind of a little drawing here, just to make sure the folks at home get this. A lot of entrepreneurs are looking to start a business and they have no cash or very little cash. And so let's say, just for simple numbers, that you want to buy a business that costs $100,000, and the guy who is the current owner, he wants to sell it, right? He's going to sell the business for $100,000. And what you're saying, if it's an owner carry, if I'm over here and I'm the buyer, maybe all I have to put down is $5,000 down. But then every month, instead of paying a bank, because maybe I don't qualify for a bank loan, I'm just making a payment to this guy. So every month I make a monthly payment, and this owner sort of serves as the bank. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and so every month I make payments to this guy, and that's how you did it.
That's part of it. Yeah.
Part of it. Now, if you don't mind me asking, because your wife's working at the bank, and you were doing what at this time?
Selling office furniture.
Selling office furniture. So financially, how did you get? Did you have just a little bit of money left over? Did you live below your means? What were you doing to come up with that?
I quit my job. Marie quit her job.
Really?
She was pregnant with our first kid.
Okay.
So we put
Perfect timing.
Yeah. So we put a second mortgage on our house.
Okay. So I want to make sure the Thrivers are getting this. So you had to take out a second mortgage. Because a lot of Thrivers are watching this all across the planet saying, well, how do I get money to start a business? And you're saying you got a second mortgage, you quit your job. Okay, so
So I'm unemployed. My wife's unemployed.
So you're unemployed and you have a baby on the way, right?
Yeah, first one.
Okay, baby on the way. So this is kind of like the success formula here, I think almost. Baby on the way. Anything else that was going on that time just to sort of set the tone here?
My friends probably thought we were crazy,
Yeah,
which is a big part of being successful is you have to go with your heart, not what people are saying, man. You ain't gonna get it done.
Yeah.
If you don't have a passion for it, you might as well just quit.
I love this. So now you talked to the guy, and who did you agree? Who agreed to do the owner carry with you?
The guy I bought the business from, a guy named Gerald Adams.
Gerald. Okay, so you work out the deal with Gerald. Did you pitch the idea to Gerald about doing an owner carry?
He actually pitched it to me.
He pitched it to you.
Yeah, I started stealing bar. I went to every bank that I could.
Yeah.
And nobody would give us anything. We had at that time we had $30,000 equity in a $60,000 house.
Okay.
But there's 30. So now I'm down to 70.
Yeah.
I knew better to ask my family because my dad would just say, "I got mine, you get yours. You've got to get this yourself."
Yeah.
And we borrowed. We talked, and we didn't ask. We constantly prayed, "Where can this come from?" And now the blue, my wife's parents, says I have a 401k that has $50,000 in it.
Yeah.
And you're welcome to it.
Really?
And I didn't want to do that because you're talking. He was a lineman at Southwestern Bill for 25 years, and you're talking about your father-in-law's retirement money.
Yeah.
But they felt strongly in this is that we could do it, and I was pretty driven, and so we went to the bank and we did a little bit more adding, and with my 30 and his 50, we needed 20, but then we needed some operating cash. So we needed another approximately 60,000.
Yeah.
And I went to Spirit Bank in Sapulpa.
Yep.
And gave my pitch.
How many banks did you go to before you got a yes?
About 2 more than there are in Tulsa.
Okay, all right. All right. Well, I want to real quick put this on the screen because I think this is huge. So for the Thrivers out here who are watching this, who are going, well, how do I get funding? So many people want to know, how do I get funding? Mm-hmm. Your answer would be, well, you pulled out $30,000 of equity, right? Mm-hmm. Then you had $50,000 that came from the family, right? And then from the bank, you raised another 60?
Yeah.
And how many banks those? I mean, do you think you had more than a dozen banks tell you no?
Oh, first day.
Okay.
Very easy, Some of them wouldn't even give me a meeting.
So I'm going to say 50 rejections. Does that sound pretty reasonable?
That's probably pretty close.
Okay. Now, I just want to make sure that the Thrivers watch. There's some people who are watching this who are going to go, I finally get it. This finally makes sense to them. Because what happens is Jeff Bezos, his parents are the ones who started Amazon. He started Amazon, but his parents are the ones who cashed out their retirement and said, hey, we're going to be all in on your business. Sam Walton, he could not raise money, but his father-in-law lent him the money to start, Walmart. So I mean, it seems like this is, even though it might, for someone watching this, it might seem extreme to have their father-in-law's, retirement cashed out for this, and to have a bank, and to have a home equity line. This is very, very normal for most entrepreneurs that I meet. This sort of concoction of how to do it. I mean, it's just whatever you have to do. Did you know, once you had all of this capital, was failure an option?
No, I was getting ready to tell you that. There's no way I could fail. But it never even came to my mind that we could.
Yeah.
I didn't. It was like, I'm not going to fail at this. There was no way this was not going to be successful.
Well, Napoleon Hill writes about how he's a self-help author, the top self-help authors of all time, but he talks about when you have a burning passion for something, almost like this irrational passion that you can't possibly lose, when failure is not an option. He kind of talks about if you burn the boats, you can then take the island, is the idea. Mm-hmm. It seems like that's what you did. I mean, you burned your boats, you had no other way to retreat, so you had to storm the island here.
That's pretty close.
Once you have this capital, what was your step one to go out there and get customers, and how'd you go about it?
The way so you understand, and that people out there will understand what happens.
Yeah.
There's a wreck. All right. The insurance company has to do something with that wreck. Some wrecker shop has that car off the highway.
Yeah.
I would drive the wrecker to go get it.
Okay.
And then I would drive the wrecker to bring it back. And then I had 1 yard hand. And I would put it, and he would put it in place with a tractor. And then I would go out and get more cars and bring them back. And I'd work till about noon every day doing that. And then I would go in and work in the office. And I spent the first 2.5 years learning the business inside out.
2.5 years.
Every facet of it that I could, inside out. If you want to know what goes on in your company, open the mail. And that's what I started doing. I started opening the mail and finding out, what's this, what's that, what's our turnaround on this, how come it's taken us 21 days to get this title back from a state of Oklahoma when it should only take 3 days to get this title back. Yeah. Just everything that we could possibly learn, I learned it. And there's Marie working side by side with me. After we bought the business in January of 92. He was born in May of 92, and then Emma was born in May of 93.
Okay.
Or January of 93. So Marie would be walking around with a baby in an arm, there's this arm and this arm, and then have one in the swing and waiting on customers, and I'd be driving the wrecker, and it was just learn as much as we could.
So, I'm sure you had some bumps and bruises along the way, but as you were building the business, Winston Churchill is a guy who I absolutely love him. He used to be the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And he has this little quote he says about success. He says, success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. How did you keep yourself positive and enthusiastic as you were growing this business with the kids and all the dramas and all that? I mean, how did you stay positive?
I stayed positive because I never got negative, because I never took my eyes off of what was going on, off of our goal, which was to be independent enough that we didn't have to work for anybody else. All Marie and I ever wanted was a good living where we were own our bosses and make our own schedule. What happened was not planned, but we just we stayed positive because we were where we wanted to be. And I had one day I was coming back on the interstate the day TU was playing in a bowl game, driving a wrecker on New Year's Eve, and it's raining, slushy, sleety, snowy, and my truck breaks down on the Turner Turnpike, Will Rogers Turnpike, and I have to crawl underneath of it to fix the fuel line that's leaking, and a big piece of slush, ice, diesel fuel hits me straight in my ear and goes down in my ear. And I just start laughing. And I said, God, thank you, because a bad day working for yourself beats a great day working for anybody else. So that was how we did it. We didn't worry about the things that weren't right, perfect. We remember where we'd come from and where we wanted to be. So we didn't have time to.
Did you ultimately end up selling the business?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
How did you decide when it was time to sell it?
A lot of prayer.
A lot of prayer?
Because that's your baby.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of mistakes a lot of entrepreneurs make is they're looking for the quick hit.
Yeah.
We were, you've heard guys say it, we were the typical 15-year overnight success.
Okay.
So we built it a little one building block at a time.
How long did you own the business?
15 years.
15 years. And when you sold that thing, did it feel good, or did it feel did you feel kind of empty when you sold it? How'd you feel?
We sold because the consolidators had come to the industry.
Okay.
And I'd studied the consolidators going into the grocery store industry and how it killed the mom and pop grocery stores and neighborhood grocery stores. And then I lived through the first part of the office supply consolidators coming in. Yeah. And I saw a lot of office supply guys miss a sell opportunity. And when the window opened, I stood around and fought the battle as long as I could fight it as an independent, knowing that, it's like at any ministry, in every story, in every movie, it has a beginning, it has the end, and sometimes it's a lot. It's easy. It's better to sell a year too soon than a year too late. Okay. Fortunately for us, the timing worked out in such a manner. We sold in April of 2008, and you know what happened in the back end. Yeah. We didn't miss the peak of the market by 30 days. Wow. If the negotiations go on another 30 days, the deal probably dies. The farther we get away from it, the more amazing it was.
So what keeps you, you've had tremendous success, so what are some of your proudest business achievements, or what do you kind of look back on and go, man, I'm glad we did that?
I think it's the overall, a couple different things. It's the overall attitude that we created, the team that I built. I would put my team up against any auction team in the United States. I spent a lot of time traveling around, just stealing ideas from everybody and then bringing them back to Oklahoma, and everybody thinks, well, he's an innovator. And I said, well, I just stole that idea and brought it somewhere nobody had seen it before. Yeah. But at our work, we had a different spirit about us.
Okay.
We encouraged family time together. We encouraged Bible study together. I would meet with my key management guys and anybody that wanted to meet at 5 o'clock in the morning and have Bible study before we went out. And I had an insurance executive come into our office and he talked to the clerk up front, and I happened to be listening. And she says, guy tells her, he says, this place has a different spirit about it. And she says, well, that's easy. She says, because we work for him, not Tim. Oh. And that's exactly the servant attitude that I wanted to portray.
Yeah.
And then the other time, the best moment was when we moved into Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
And the representative from the largest insurance company in the state at the time, State Farm, came in, which we didn't handle their cars. And he says, Tim, you and your team have the ability to make the auction passionate. You're so passionate. You bring passion to the salvage industry. And whether we ever sell a car through you or not, you've changed the rules the way they're going to be played in Oklahoma from now on.
That's got to feel pretty rewarding when he said that, huh?
Yeah, I said, yeah, we're going to rock. We're going to get every one of these cars.
Now, let me ask you this here. What keeps you motivated now? Now that you've cashed out, you've sold it, I'm sure you have a nice car, you probably have some nice stuff, you probably have a nice house, some nice stuff. Mm-hmm. You told us where you started, and now you sold it, and you hit that millionaire status. What keeps you motivated now?
Well, at first, I would get mad when they said, this is going to be your biggest hit you ever do, so enjoy it. And I say, oh, you guys are crazy. Yeah. I could do a lot more than this. And I didn't want I grew a fear, though, that my next venture wouldn't be as good as that. So I sort of got into a little funk.
Yeah.
And saying, what's next? And then I wrote down, this is, I want to do this. I want a jet. I want this. I want that. I want that. And then I seen where another big star died. Somebody famous died. And then I realized the world lies, man. Because I'm always going to be chasing that rabbit.
The jet or the
jet, the
you
bigger
read about
jet,
another star who maybe died in the jet?
Yeah, the island. Okay. I want my own island. I want my own football team. And I basically, at that point, it was an epiphany. It said, calling the dogs off.
Yeah.
We've got enough that I want to spend time with my family.
Yeah.
Doing something that has some meaning.
Yeah.
Every time I visit with one of my old friends, nobody talks about their contracts they negotiated or the deal they made or the business. They talk about their grandkid or their grandson. Yeah. And so now I'm involved with a Meridian biblical training, Meridian University biblical training.
Yeah.
That we train trainers worldwide in oral theology.
Oh, wow.
So it's a pretty exciting time in life now.
Well, one thing I was going to say is we've got a chance to meet Thrivers all across the world. They're in 30-something countries now. Mm-hmm. We were just out in Florida, then we had an event in Minnesota, and you meet these people, and when you get a chance to see how the mentorship that you're providing today can help people, really make a difference. We have one couple that was implementing the success principles they've learned on Thrive, and they're absolutely financially just for the first time in their lives getting above that treading water line. And it's just exciting. So I just want to tell you on behalf of all the Thrivers across the planet, thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule and for being here and investing in the lives of other people. I appreciate it very much.
All right, thank you, Clay.
Thanks a lot.
JT, do you know what time it is?
4:10.
It's Tebow time in Tulsa, Jerusalem, baby. Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Whoa. During the month of Christmas, December 5th and 6th, 2024, Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma in the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Growth Workshop. Yes, folks, put it in your calendar. This December, the month of Christmas, December 5th and 6th, Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma in the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business growth workshop. Whoa. We've been doing business conferences here since 2005. I've been hosting business conferences since 2005. What year were you born?
1995.
Dude, I've been hosting business conferences since you were 10 years old. And a lot of people, have followed Tim Tebow's football career on the field and off the field. And off the field, the guy's been just as successful as he has been on the field. Now, the big question is, JT, how does he do it?
Well, they're going to have to come and find out because I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying, Tim Tebow's going to teach us how he organizes his day, how he organizes his life, how he's proactive with his faith, his family, his finances. He's going to walk us through his mindset that he brings into the gym, into business. It is going to be a blasty blast in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Folks, I'm telling you, if you want to learn branding, you want to learn marketing, you want to learn search engine optimization, you want to learn social media marketing, that's what we teach at the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive workshop. If you want to learn accounting, you want to learn sales systems, you want to learn how to build a linear workflow, you want to learn how to franchise your business, that is what we teach at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshop. Over the years, we've had the opportunity to feature Michael Levine, the PR consultant of choice for Nike, for Prince, for Michael Jackson. We've had the top PR consultant in the history of the planet has spoken at the Thrivetime Show workshops. We've had Jill Donovan, the founder of RusticCuff.com, a company that creates apparel worn by celebrities all throughout the world. Jill Donovan, the founder of RusticCuff.com, has spoken at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshops. We have had the man who's responsible for turning around Harley Davidson, a man by the name of Ken Schmidt. He has spoken at the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshops. Folks, I'm telling you, these events are going to teach you what you need to know to start and grow a successful business. And the way we price the events, the way we do these events, is you can pay $250 for a ticket or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, we've designed these events to be affordable for you, and we want to see you live and in person at the 2-day interactive December 5th and 6th Thrivetime Show Business Workshop. Everything that you need to succeed will be taught at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Workshop, December 5th and 6th in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And the way we do these events is we teach for 30 minutes, and then we open it up for a question and answer session so that wonderful people like you can have your questions answered. Yes, we teach for 30 minutes, and then we open it up for a 15-minute question and answer session. It's interactive. It's 2 days. It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We've been doing these events since 2005, and I'm telling you, folks, it's going to blow your mind. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshop is America's highest rated and most reviewed business workshop. See the thousands of video testimonials from real people just like you who've been able to build multi-million-dollar companies. Watch those testimonials today at thrivetimeshow.com. Simply by clicking on the testimonials button right there at thrivetimeshow.com, you're going to see thousands of people just like you who've been able to go from just surviving to thriving. Whoa. Each and every day, we're going to add more and more speakers to this all-star lineup, but I encourage everybody out there today, get those tickets today. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com. And some people might be saying, well, how do I do it? What do I do? How does it work? You just go to thrivetimeshow.com. Let's go there now. We're feeling the flow. We're going to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, you just go to thrivetimeshow.com. You click on the business conferences button, and you click on the request tickets button right there. The way I do our conferences is we tell people it's $250 to get a ticket.
Yep.
Or whatever price that you can afford. And the reason why I do that is I grew up without money. JT, you're in the process of building a super successful company.
Yep.
Did you start out with $1 million in the bank account?
No, I did not. Nope, did not get any loans, nothing like that. Did not get an inheritance from parents or anything like that. I had to work for it, and I'm super grateful. I came to a business conference. That's actually how I met you, met Peter Taunton. I met all these people.
So if you're out there today and you want to come to our workshop, again, you just got to go to thrivetimeshow.com. You might say, well, who's speaking? We already covered that. You might say, where's it going to be? It's going to be in Tulsa, Jerusalem, Oklahoma. And someone says, Tulsa, Jerusalem. I'm really trying to rebrand Tulsa as Tulsa, Jerusalem, sort of like the Jerusalem of America. But if you type in Thrivetime Show and Jinx, you can get a sneak peek or a look at our office facility. This is what it looks like. This is where you're headed. It's going to be a blasty blast. You can look inside, see the facility. We're going to have hundreds of entrepreneurs here. It is going to be packed. Now, for this particular event, folks, the seating is always limited because my facility isn't a limitless convention center. You're coming to my actual home office, and so it's going to be packed. Who? You're going to come. Who? You? I'm talking to you. You can just get your tickets right now at thrivetimeshow.com. And again, You can name your price. We tell people it's $250 or whatever price you can afford. And we do have some select VIP tickets, which gives you an access to meet some of the speakers and those sorts of things. And those tickets are $500. It's a 2-day interactive business workshop, over 20 hours of business training. We're going to give you a copy of my newest book, The Millionaire's Guide to Becoming Sustainably Rich. You're going to leave with a workbook. You're going to leave with everything you need to know to start and grow a super successful company. It's practical, it's actionable, and it's Tebow time right here in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Get those tickets today at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com.
Hello, I'm Michael Levine, and I'm talking to you right now from the center of Hollywood, California, where I have represented over the last 35 years 58 Academy Award winners, 34 Grammy Award winners, 43 New York Times bestsellers. I've represented a lot of major stars, and I've worked with a lot of major companies. And I think I've learned a few things about what makes them work and what makes them not work. Now, why would a man living in Hollywood, California, in the beautiful sunny weather of LA, come to Tulsa? Because last year I did it, and it was damn exciting. Clay Clark has put together an exceptional presentation, really life-changing, and I'm looking forward to seeing you then. I'm Michael Levine. I'll see you in Tulsa.
Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshops are the world's highest rated and most reviewed business workshops because we teach you what you need to know to grow.
You can learn the proven 13-point business systems that Dr. Zellner and I have used over and over to start and grow successful companies. I mean, we get into the specific steps on what you need to do to optimize your website. We're going to teach you how to fix your conversion rate. We're going to teach you how to do a social media marketing campaign that works. How do you raise capital? How do you get a small business loan? We teach you everything you need to know here during a 2-day, 15-hour workshop. It's all here for you. You work every day in your business, but for 2 days you can escape and work on your business and build these proven systems so now you can have a successful company that will produce both the time freedom and the financial freedom that you deserve. You're going to leave energized, motivated, but you're also going to leave empowered. The reason why I've built these workshops is because as an entrepreneur, I always wish that I had this. And because there wasn't anything like this, I would go to these motivational seminars, no money down, real estate, Ponzi scheme, get motivated seminars, and they would never teach me anything. It was like you went there and you paid for the big chocolate Easter bunny, but inside of it, it was a hollow nothingness. And I wanted the knowledge, and they're like, oh, but we'll teach you the knowledge after our next workshop. And the great thing is we have nothing to upsell. At every workshop, we teach you what you need to know. There's no one in the back of the room trying to sell you some next big get-rich-quick, walk-on-hot coals product. It's literally, we teach you the brass tacks, the specific stuff that you need to know to learn how to start and grow a business. And I encourage you to not believe what I'm saying, and I want you to Google the Z66 auto auction. I want you to Google elephant in the room. Look at Robert Zellner and Associates. Look them up and say, are they successful because they're geniuses, or are they successful because they have a proven system? When you do that research, you will discover that the same systems that we use in our own business can be used in your business. Come to Tulsa, book a ticket, and I guarantee you it's going to be the best business workshop ever, and we'll even give you your money back if you don't love it. We've built this facility for you, and we're excited to see you.
And now you may be thinking, what does it actually cost to attend an in-person 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshop? Well, good news. The tickets are $250 or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, they're $250 or whatever price you can afford. I grew up without money, and I know what it's like to live without money. So if you're out there today and you want to attend our in-person 2-day interactive business workshop, all you got to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com to request those tickets. And if you can't afford $250, we have scholarship pricing available to make it affordable for you.
I learned at the Academy in Kings Point in New York. Acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
Whoa. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show. Today I'm broadcasting from Phoenix, Arizona, not Scottsdale, Arizona. They're close, but they're completely different worlds. And we have a special guest today. Definition of intelligence is if you agree with me, you're intelligent. And so this gentleman is very intelligent. I've done his show before also. but very seldom do you find somebody who lines up on all counts. And it's a Mr. Clay Clark. He's a friend of a good friend, Eric Trump. But we're also talking about money, bricks, and how screwed up the world can get in a few and a half hour. So Clay Clark is a very intelligent man, and there's so many ways we could take this thing. But I thought, since you and Eric are close, Trump, what were you saying about what Trump can't, what Donald, who's my age, and I can say or cannot say?
Well, first of all, I have to honor you, sir. I want to show you what I did to one of your books here. There's a guy by the name of Jeremy Thorne, who was my boss at the time. I was 19 years old, working at Faith Highway. I had a job at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV. And he said, "Have you read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad?" And I said, "No." And my father, may he rest in peace, he didn't know these financial principles. So I started reading all of your books and really devouring your books. And I went from being an employee to self-employed, to the business owner, to the investor. And I owe a lot of that to you. And I just wanted to take a moment to tell you, thank you so much for allowing me to achieve success. And then I'll tell you all about Eric Trump. But I just want to tell you, thank you, sir, for changing my life.
But not only that, Clay, thank you, but you become an influencer. More than anything else, you've evolved into an influencer where your word has more and more power. So that's why I congratulate you on becoming. Because as you know, there's a lot of fake influencers out there too, or bad influencers.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm glad you and I agree so much, and thanks for reading my books.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thrill for me today. Not a thrill, but recognition is when people, young men especially, come up and say, "I read your book, changed my life. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this."
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say. Whoa.